Hello again. I'm keenly aware, I can hardly fail to be aware, that times have changed since I was myself at school. But even so, the events which have taken place at the Pimlico Academy in London strike me as quite bizarre. If a school has a policy on the length of hair or about the requirements of uniform, then parents can either abide by these requirements or remove their children and have them educated elsewhere. That was the case when I was at school, and it's still how things are today. Nobody's obliged to send their child to any particular school, but if you do choose one, then you really need to make sure that your child follows the rules of the school. Take one rule, for example, that of having hair so long and bushy that it obscures the view of those sitting behind you. If a school wishes to institute such a rule, then they have every right to do so, obviously. What happened at Pimlico Academy, though, was that some pupils from certain minorities decided that this was racist, and their parents agreed with them. One mother said that, "My son is always scared of getting into trouble for silly reasons." She said her son had received a detention because his afro hair had been deemed not to fit in with the school dress code. The school asked me to come in and said that we needed to change his hairstyle, and I refused, she said. This is his hairstyle and his identity. Why do they want to change that? He's very happy with his hair. Can you imagine? No wonder these kids think they can get away with murder if the parents are backing them up in this sort of way. School also brought in rules about head coverings. When I was at school, I had to wear a cap. And I know this makes me sound like a really ancient person. I wore a cap, everybody hated them. But there we are. That was the rule. Children just had to follow those rules, and that was an end to it. Not these days, of course. Even trying to establish a uniform colour for hijabs has led to pupils going on strike. The thumbnail to this video shows them sitting down in protest outside the school. They evidently think that having long hair is a human right, and that it's racist to tell them how they should dress for school. Then there's the question of having the Union flag flying outside Pimlico Academy. Although they're at a British school, the sight of the British flag is so offensive to them that pupils tore it down and burned it. The solution to this problem is obvious. No, it doesn't entail keeping the whole school in until the culprits own up, which is what would have happened when I was a youngster. Instead, the headmaster has promised he will not fly the British flag at the school again in case it upsets any of the pupils. One grievance of the pupils is that during the Black Lives Matter disorders last year, according to one schoolgirl, a lack of support from staff at the school in relation to the Black Lives Matter protests that took place last summer was a fundamental reason why there was such unhappiness among the student body. The student body, indeed. I'm not sure when school children stopped being pupils and started being referred to as students. I think it was a mistake because it's made them all a bit too big for their boots. My own solution to the problems at that school would be very simple. If anybody doesn't like the sight of the British flag flying, then that's too bad. If they don't want to have their hair cut to the regulation length and the parents won't help, then the kids should be suspended or expelled. The same applies if they refuse to wear school uniform. I suppose there is no hope that the kind of ultimate sanction which I myself faced in my youth, if I persistently disobeyed school rules, is likely to be used. The threat of corporal punishment was a very effective deterrent to behaviour of this kind.